Okay, we're going to be learning a few different pieces. Our first piece that we're going to be going through is a quick little piece of Musar about Eretz Yisrael. We should always start learning about Eretz Yisrael before anything else. So it says, we learn in the Sefer from the Drishat Tziyon, the Eretz Yisrael. He writes, every single parsha he brings an Indian from Eretz Yisrael in the parsha. So in this week's parsha it says in the pasuk, in Parak Yud Dalet, pasuk Aleph, it says, Bani matem la Hashem Elokechem. I think you'll be like children to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it's Hikshu Chazal. Harimakom Acher B'Torah. It says in Vayikra, Parak Chav Aleph, Chav Hey, Kara Otanu Avadim. We know that sometimes HaKadosh Baruch Hu acts with us like He is our master and we are slaves. So how come over here in the pasuk is He referring to us and relating to us as children? So the Megala Omukos answers, Ki be'Eretz Yisrael him zochim ledargat banim ha'ochim mishulchan avihem. Because when a Jew lives in Eretz Yisrael, they reach a level where they're like a child to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The difference, the main difference between a Jew in Galus and a Jew in Eretz Yisrael is that in Galus a Jew is considered to be like a slave, and in Eretz Yisrael a Jew is considered to be like a child. And he continues, and he says that not only is he considered a child, but also he eats from the table of his father. But in Chutz La'aretz, a person is only considered to be a slave, which is a much lower level. So why are we saying this now? It's almost Rosh Chodesh Elul. And in the Rosh Hashanah davening and Yom Kippur davening, we always say that we say, you can either treat us like we are banim, or you can treat us like we are avadim. And it's a constant part of our tefillah. How is HaKadosh Baruch Hu mityaches? How is He relating to us as whether we are servants or whether He is children? So a lot of that has to do with us. Sometimes it's very easy for us to think that we are slaves to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And okay, I'm commanded to do a mitzvah, and I have to do this, and I have to do that, and I have to wake up in the morning, and I have to do this, X, Y, Z, and we can go through the list of our day, and we can feel very much like slaves. That mindset is an exile mindset. That's a gullus mindset. When a person's in Eretz Yisrael, Torah is a life, Torah is Chaim. And Eretz Yisrael is called Eretz Chaim. And therefore, when we're in a place of life, so we're like children, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is like our father. So that's just a very important aspect to realize going into Elul, going into the time of teshuva, that if we really want to be zocha to teshuva, real teshuva, then we have to think about ourselves as children to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not as slaves. That first we have to start off as slaves 100%. We have to, Am Yisrael start off in Mitzrayim. That's our first avoda, is being slaves. But only then we have to work on ourselves in order to get to a place where we're called banim. On that note, we're going to go to another point in the parsha. We're going to talk about teshuva on a much deeper level. The Degel Machane Efrayim. It's a sefer written by the grandson of the Baal Shem Tov. So in this week's parsha, we'll find a place. Okay. He quotes, it says in the pasuk, Shamor v'shamata, and the pasuk continues to go on to explain that that you should follow the HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shamor v'shamata, you will guard and you will listen to. So he goes over and he brings down a Torah from his grandfather, the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh, and he explains that the word Shamor over here doesn't mean the word guard, but rather it has a completely different meaning. We're going to try to bring a hint, we're going to try to find a deeper understanding of this pasuk through this concept. It says in Pirkei Avos, Parak Vav Mishnah Bet, that a bat kol yotzes mehar chorev, and he goes on to explain that we all know the Mishnah that there's a bat kol that comes out of Har Chorev every single day from Har Sinai. It comes out every single day and calls out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu's children that they should return in teshuva. Right, so there's a lot of different Mefarshim go on to explain what does this mean every single day, and now we're going to hear a very, very interesting take on it. So he says, Sha'amar, the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh, and he says you can also find this in the Sefer of the Tolos Yaakov Yosef. V'hine bezenit bar hatema v'hapela shehikshe v'pnei ma HaKadosh Yosef she'en shum shomea. It's a very simple question. Why is it that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a bakul that's going out every single day, calling out to the children of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to the servants of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, however you want to relate to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Why is there a voice going out if no one's listening to it? Right? I've never heard it, which makes sense. But a lot of other tzaddikim who talk about this concept also have never heard, claim that they've never heard this voice. So I understand if I've never heard the voice, but if other tzaddikim are telling us that this voice is going out but not being heard, so it's a very good question on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, why? What's with the effort? What's with the, why create this bria of the bat kol that's coming out every single day if there's no purpose for it, if there's no one listening? So he goes on and he explains, Ubiyar Zal, and And the Baal Shem Tov explained, if someone wants to truly try and request and search out the way of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and a person waits and davens and yearns for when that time will be, the waking up of the awakening to hear words of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as bivada yishma habat kol shehem hirurei tshuva, then for sure a person will hear this bat kol. Why? Because all this bat kol is, the Baal Shem Tov explains, is hirurei tshuva. That's a very, very deep concept. The whole concept of hirurei tshuva, the whole concept of all HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants for us is to return. V'hu shemirame Shamor lashon hamtana. And he's telling us the way we look at this pasuk in Dvarim, in our parsha, in Parshas Re'eh, Shamor v'shamata, that Shamor over here doesn't mean to watch, rather it means to wait, hamtana. Hainu shetehei mamtinu mitzapeh lishma dvar Hashem, that a person should always be waiting and looking out for when he's going to be able to hear the word of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Az bevadai v'shamati hirurei tshuva, habayim la'adam b'chol yom itaorut debatko. Because then for sure, a person can every single day go out and he can hear the words of the Batkol, of the Batkol from Chorev, from Har Sinai, coming out every single day and calling him to wake up from the slumber that we know as Galus. We know that by Avram Avinu in Parshas Lech Lecha, a lot of Mefarshim, I don't know if a lot of Mefarshim, but at least I once I forgot where I saw it from, it said, it's not that Avram was so special and that he had his own special command, Lech Lecha me'artzecha. This parish that I read once said that Avram Avinu was unique in that he was able to hear it, but these words Lech Lecha were being called out to the whole world. So what does this mean? How come only Avram was able to do this? So we know there's a debate of when exactly Avram Avinu heard the bat kol. When Avram Avinu realized in the yichud and the unity of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the world. So according to the Medrash, I believe, it says that Avram Avinu was 3 years old when he began to realize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was the Borei Olam. We also know that Avram Avinu, when he left for Eretz Yisrael, he was much older. So why is it that, according to the Medrash, Avram Avinu was very, very young when he realized the yichud of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the unity of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the only one that exists in the world as a Borei Olam, from the time that he was 3, and then it was almost 40 years later till he then actually heard Lech Lecha. So on the same note that we're discussing over here in Parshas Re'eh, Shamor v'shamata, that a person has to wait and they have to yearn and to daven and they have to rely on HaKadosh Baruch Hu when they're going to be able to hear HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so that we first see from Avram Avinu that Avram Avinu spent so many years only after realizing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was the creator of the world, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu was Echad Yachad Yuchad, that he's the only one. It took him many, many years until he actually heard the words from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that's the Degel, Machane, Efrayim discussing the concept of the Batkol leaving Har Chorev, or coming out of Har Sinai, and every single day calling out to the children of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to return in tshuva. That a person's ability to hear that is also relying on a person's reliance on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We have to want to do tshuva. And if we want that, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bring us to a level where we'll do it. Now we're going to come back to this in a minute. We're going to open up a second sefer, a sefer by the Kedushas Levi, or Levi Yitzchak Sarah Sasha. It should be a schus for all of us to be learning the sefer. Kedushas Levi. So also in his parish on the Torah, in the Kedushas Levi, so he brings down on the first piece of the parsha. He says, Ra'ei Anochi noten lifnechem hayom bracha. Right, the famous pasuk that we all know, that you should see if now I'm going to be putting in front of you bracha. So the Kedushas Levi asks, he says, L'chora tevat hayom einu muvan. How come it has to say the word hayom? Right, Re'ei Anochi noten lifnechem bracha. Why does it have to say today? Especially if we know that the Torah isn't a history book, it's not talking about a specific historical event, so why would it say hayom? Ach diyadua she'HaKadosh Baruch Hu mechadesh b'tuvo b'chol yom tovim ma'aseh v'reshit. The Kedushas Levi explains that we know that every single day HaKadosh Baruch Hu renews the world completely. That every single day HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us new clarity, and he sends upon the world new chesed. And someone who really serves HaKadosh Baruch Hu every single day receives upon himself a new clarity and new levels of logic and intellect and understanding of the world, that which he never knew up until today. And that's why it says in the pasuk, "Re'ei Anochi noten lifnechem hayom, al derech sha'amru chachminu zal hayom b'chol yom yiyu beinecha kachadashim." Right, we say many times that when a Kadosh Baruch Hu comes to Am Yisrael and says the word hayom, referring to the tzivuyim of the mitzvahs, it's not talking about a historical day of quoting a Kadosh Baruch Hu in the past saying that, oh, today I'm going to give it to you 2,000 years earlier. Rather, it's hayom. Rather, when we're reading those words, it's mamish that today HaKadosh Baruch Hu every single day is giving us those mitzvahs. Every single day, these words of Torah and these divrei mitzvot, they should all be new. Therefore, every single day a person is able to receive new bracha and new chesed that's brand new. It's completely renewed, it's completely fresh. There's a wild thing that Kedushas Levi is telling us. The Kedushas Levi is telling us that be'etzem, a person can never have any taina against HaKadosh Baruch Hu to say, my world is boring, my world is old, how come tefillin, how come talis, how come tzitzis, how come making brachas, how come bracha achrona, bracha yishona, all these different mitzvahs that we're doing constantly every single day, to ever say, I'm so bored of this religion, I'm so bored of these mitzvahs, so how come I can't have something new? That taina doesn't exist, because when we wake up in the morning and we say, Moda ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam, shachazarta bi nishmati, v'chem l'raba emunatecha, right, that the fact that Rabba emunatecha, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has so much emunah in us that we can be perfected, and we can perfect ourselves today. Therefore, every single day, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us new chesed. Right? Yesterday, that which I knew and that's what I received from HaKadosh Baruch Hu was at a completely different level than that which I'm receiving today. Every single day when I wake up, I have the ability to start a completely brand new day, because that's the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world. Every single day, HaKadosh Baruch Hu recreates me as a completely different bria, as a completely different piece of creation. So why am I bringing these two pieces? So just to review, the Degel and Efrayim brought down a beautiful teaching about the Bat Kol leaving Har Sinai every single day, calling for the children of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to return. And the Kedushas Levi brings down in Parshas Re'ei, and he tells us that every single day HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Machadish b'chol yom tovim ma'aseh b'reshit, and therefore every single day a person has new bracha coming into his life. Now the Degel and Efrayim told us that a person has to wait, and just like a person has to be mitzapim the Yeshua, a person has to wait for the Yeshua, the same for HaKadosh Baruch Hu's ultimate salvation, so too a Jew has to wait and has to daven that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should let us hear his words. And so B'ezrat Hashem, based on these two teachings from the Kedushas Levi and the Degel and Efrayim, that we should be able to be like Banim to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that we should be living even when we're in Galus, even if we are in Galus. B'ezrat Hashem, we won't be very soon. But even if we are in Galus, we can still be living on a madrega of Banim. Banim atem Hashem l'kechem, which according to the Mefarshim explain, and we saw in the Drishat Tziyon, the first Torah that we read, that Banim Hashem atem l'kechem, which only really applies in Eretz Yisrael as Banim and in Chutz La'aretz in Galus, whereas Avadim. So B'ezrat Hashem, through these teachings, that if a person truly davens to HaKadosh Baruch Hu every single day, and davens to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that we're able to hear his voice, even though right now we can't, that we should be zocheh to hear his voice. When a person has that much love and yearning for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then it's not like a slave wanting to hear his master's words. Rather, it's like a child waiting to hear his father's words. And therefore, when we get to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, B'ezrat Hashem, when we come to Avinu Malkeinu, we'll really be able to understand the concept of what it means Avinu, but not just to understand it on a logical and intellectual level, but rather we'll feel it. When we say Avinu Malkeinu, we'll truly understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu really is our Abba, and that HaKadosh Baruch Hu really is our Father, and that we really truly are His children, and therefore anything that we need every single day is like a new day. And B'ezrat Hashem, through these concepts, through the schos of the Kedushas Levi with our Sasha, and through Moshe Chaim Efrayim Misidolkav, the grandson of the Baal Shem Tov, and through all the other tzaddikim of our generation, we should be zocheh to truly see a Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur come this year. That will be the final Yom Kippur before the Geula. And B'ezrat Hashem, this will come about through us understanding that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not our master, but He's also our Father. Shkoyach.